We're ready for Sarah's 12-month review today. Before we get started, are there any questions that either of you have for me at all?
Not really at this stage.
No? Good? Okay. Well, the first photos we have up here are Sarah's pre-treatment shots. So the photos we took before we started. The first thing we see is that there's some misalignment, particularly in these upper teeth here. And this big canine tooth up here doesn't quite have enough room to fit correctly into the upper jaw there. Can you see that? Yep. We'll look at the jaws individually, and this is the upper jaw here. Now, the most obvious thing here to me is that these two teeth here, called the premolar teeth, are tipped in slightly. So that means that the upper jaw is a little bit narrow, especially in this midsection here. We look at the lower teeth, and it's these lower front teeth that are the issue. So those lower front teeth are slightly crowded here. We move on to the bite. Now, what's ideal is for these lower front teeth to be about only 1 millimeter behind these upper front teeth. So it means that lower jaw is a little bit further back to where we want it to be. In terms of the overbite, now the overbite means the vertical overlap of those front teeth. There's about a 2 millimeter overbite maybe. Now, again, what's ideal is for there to only be a 1 millimeter overbite. So that again just means that the lower jaw is a little bit further back to where we want it to be. Now, we look at the facial development. So let's look at Sarah's face here. In terms of proper facial development, what we're after is the point of this upper lip, the point of the lower lip, and the chin to be in about the same line here. So you can see that especially the point of the chin is a little bit further back to where we want it to be there. Now, we took some progress shots about 5 months ago, and immediately we can see that the alignment had improved pretty significantly at that 5-month mark, yes? And we look at the bite itself. That lower jaw has come forward, but you can see that it's still not quite where we want it to be. As I said, it should only be 1 millimeter behind those upper front teeth there. And we look at the lower teeth. The crowding has probably improved a little bit, but again, there's still a little bit of crowding there. Now, in terms of the causes, now the fact that the upper jaw has expanded a little bit and the crowding has improved means that the tongue function had improved. So the tongue was resting in the roof of the mouth a bit more than it was, which is why we got that widening of the upper jaw. Now, the wire plus the Myobrace obviously helped out with that, but it's actually the tongue that develops the upper jaw. In terms of those lower front teeth, the reason why we had some improvement there was that that muscle under that lower lip had improved, meaning that the reason why they were crowded before was that muscle was pushing back on those lower front teeth. So the fact that Sarah wasn't activating that muscle so much during the swallow meant that those lower front teeth had started to align and that lower jaw had started to come forward. Now let's fast forward to the current shots here. So this is where Sarah is at now. And we look at the front, it's still looking pretty decent. The alignment's still looking pretty good. But let's have a look at the bite here. Now, can you both see that that lower jaw is still a little bit further back to where is ideal? Now, what does that indicate to you, Sarah, in terms of your muscles? What do you think is going on there? Why is that lower jaw a little bit further back?
Not putting my tongue in the right place.
Well, that's true. That is part of it. But the reason why specifically the lower jaw is a little bit further back is that muscle under that lower lip still pushing back on that lower jaw. Yep. And we look at the upper jaw. Now, I'm glad you mentioned the tongue because we look at the upper jaw here, and it seems to me as if these side teeth or these premolar teeth have come back a little bit to where we were about 5 months ago. And so that indicates for me, as you said before, Sarah, that that tongue is still not quite where we want it to be at all times. Now, in terms of why that tongue isn't there at this stage, I was just looking through the notes, and it seems as if you're wearing the Myobrace well at night, but during the day, you're still not quite up to scratch with the daytime use, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And the exercises as well probably do with a bit of improvement too? Yep, okay. So the reason why that daytime use is important is because when you're asleep, you don't quite know what your tongue's doing or what your lips are doing, yes? But during the day, you can actually really focus on putting your tongue on that tongue tag and keeping your lips together over the Myobrace. And that really trains the tongue to behave correctly. and while she's conscious. And also when she has a Myobrace in, she's constantly swallowing with it in. And that teaches her to swallow correctly because the Myobrace forces Sarah to swallow correctly. And that will translate to when she doesn't have the Myobrace in. So that's why that daytime Myobrace use is very important, along with those Myobrace activities as well, Sarah. Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so where to from here? Now, as I said, that upper jaw has narrowed a little bit again. We do have that wire up our sleeve if we need it again. But at this stage, I would be inclined to see how Sarah goes with compliance with the Myobrace itself. Now the tongue, as we know, is very powerful, so it does have enough power to expand that upper jaw further. Now we'll probably review it again in about 2 months, and at that stage decide whether or not we're going to go back in with the wire to get those teeth out of the way again so that the tongue has enough room. And then in terms of the lower front teeth plus that lower jaw being a little bit further back, we really need to focus on swallowing exercises. So the educational consultant will go through that with Sarah a little bit later on. Now, Sarah was also a mouth breather previously, but that seems to have improved a lot. Now, the reason why the breathing is relevant is because if you breathe through your mouth, your tongue can't be in the right spot. And another noticeable improvement has been in the posture. So this is where Sarah is at now. You can see that the head is quite upright there, whereas when we started, her head was nodded forward and slumped forward slightly. So we tend to see those improvements in the body posture and the posture of the head and neck when that lower jaw starts to come forward. So we know that lower jaw has come forward, but there's still a little bit of room for improvement there. So overall, I'd probably give you a B+ in terms of where we are at the moment, Sarah. And if there's just a little bit of effort, a little bit more effort put in with the daytime Myobrace use plus the exercises, we should be able to give you an A+, probably within about 3 or 4 months, I would say. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Good. Okay. Any questions at all, guys, from here at this point?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think we've got that.
Yep. Good. You understand that it's basically up to you, Sarah, to get that final little bit of improvement, and then we'll be just about there. Okay?
Yep.
Good. All right. We'll see you guys next time then.
Okay, thanks very much.
No worries.